5 years ago, I co-founded Folkaphonic Youth Folk Orchestra, an Australia-wide project to support the creation of the next generation of folk music participants. The world has changed enormously since I wrote the application for this conference, and I've had to rethink my career, my musical practice, and how to manage the musical communities that I have run over the past 20 years, including Folkaphonic. My presentation was to be a musical and cultural exploration of Folkaphonic, examining what had been developed and the future directions of the concept. While I will still give details of what has been, I would like to share the questions that have arisen for the future of musical communities. Folkaphonic was established to encourage young instrumentalists to participate in a variety of folk music making, develop a community of young folk musicians, and expose young musicians to a range of musics, professional performers, and musical expressions. Folkaphonic Youth Orchestra has been run at a number of folk festivals in Australia, including Woodford and Illawarra. It is designed for young people, which in folk is under 30, to meet and play arranged European-derived folk music. There are a number of rehearsals and a performance on the final day of each festival. It originated from the founders, myself and David DeSanti, having a conversation at the Australian National Folklore Conference in 2016 about our perceived need to get young people involved in and excited about playing the various types of folk music. The underlying philosophy behind Folkaphonic was to actively create a community of young folk players by creating a group in which they could be exposed to a number of different folk musics, learn from and play with leaders in the folk music scene, and experience the joy of creating and performing music together. David and I both felt that these goals could help support the creation of future folk community participants as both audience and performers. Folkaphonic has been an open participation activity at festivals, with some tickets available for experienced players to come and help, further strengthening community ties. The music selected for the group is based on our own musical backgrounds: Italian, Scottish, Scandinavian, and Anglo-Celtic Australian. I have created flexible ensemble arrangements using my classical training. There are 4 parts: melody, melodic harmony, rhythmic and bass harmony, and an easy part. All parts have been transposed to suit a range of instruments, although we mostly have strings, guitars, and flutes. Because of limited rehearsal time at festivals and varied skill levels, I have a range of music that can be fairly easily prepared with great results with whoever turns up. Participants self-select parts and can change the part they play between each piece. At each festival, I have invited international performers or national performers booked for the festival to perform with us. They choose one song or piece from their own repertoire that I arrange for the ensemble. This is valuable for the participants to understand the political and cultural nature of music selected by each guest, as well as to gain experience working with leading performers. One of my students, a shy young 18-year-old I had taught for 5 years, played at his first festival in January. He was involved in Folkaphonic and also the Scottish tune sessions. He loved the experience, contributed so much, and grew in confidence through the experience. His mother called me on Saturday to say that he had taken his violin to the protests in support of refugees in Brisbane, to take his turn playing for the refugees, using his skills, his newfound confidence, and sense of social justice to contribute to society. The child who wanted to give up music when he first came for lessons had become a young man who can use his music as his voice. Australian folk festivals have been growing in popularity, with a broad range of niche and large festivals available to audiences and artists. Unfortunately, since March, these were cancelled for this year and into next year. This has had a devastating effect on performers, stallholders, vendors, and audiences, financially, emotionally, and socially. I have run community music and dance events each Friday evening at the local bowls club that was becoming a strong hub of community music, folk music, and dance in Brisbane. I had a junior fiddle club, senior fiddle club, folk music theory class, scales for folk class, community ceilidhs, and last year started a folk orchestra as a more permanent offshoot of Folkaphonic. None of these activities has resumed since stopping in March. I have had messages saying how much people are missing the music, the dancing, and the community. I am exploring ways of creating learning experiences, but it is difficult to recreate the community nature of these activities. The chat over chocolate biscuits, the biscuit being the reason some people come apparently, the shared music making, the laughter when something goes wrong, the joy of group achievement, these are things that are not possible with learning videos or the musically unsatisfying Zoom rehearsal. The way I am resolving this at the moment is to create scores and, thanks to an Arts Queensland Q Music grant, recordings of the parts. I can use these to generate income as well as facilitating continued learning for Folkaphonic participants. Any suggestions for the promotion or platforms of this material would be gratefully received. Thank you.